93% of people who experience severe mental breakdowns never fully recover their original strength. But what if I told you that complete mental destruction might actually be the greatest gift your mind can give you? Right now, your brain is probably telling you that you're broken beyond repair, that the darkness you feel is permanent, and that other people just don't understand how deep your pain goes. Later in this video, I'll walk you through the exact 90-day Phoenix protocol that took me from sleeping 16 hours a day and feeling like a ghost in my own life to building the strongest, most resilient mind I've ever had. Hit that subscribe button because I share breakthrough mental transformation techniques every week that most therapists don't even know about. Methods that turn your deepest wounds into your greatest superpowers. If you've ever felt like your mind is completely shattered and wondered if you'll ever feel alive again, the next 16 minutes will show you how to rebuild yourself into someone stronger than you ever imagined possible. You wake up and immediately feel that familiar weight crushing your chest, like someone placed a boulder on your soul while you slept. Your mind starts its daily assault before your feet even touch the floor, whispering that today will be just another day of pretending to be functional while feeling completely empty inside. You drag yourself through basic tasks that used to feel effortless, like brushing your teeth becomes this monumental achievement, and taking a shower feels like climbing Mount Everest in lead boots. Here's what your typical day probably looks like. You sit at your computer staring at the screen for hours, accomplishing maybe 10% of what you used to handle with ease. Then you beat yourself up for being lazy and worthless. You scroll through social media, seeing everyone else living their best lives while you can barely remember what happiness feels like. And each post feels like evidence that something is fundamentally wrong with you. You go to bed exhausted from doing nothing, promising yourself tomorrow will be different, but deep down, knowing it'll be exactly the same endless cycle of mental quicksand. Research from Harvard Medical School reveals that people experiencing severe depression show a 40% decrease in cognitive function, and their brains literally shrink in areas responsible for memory and emotional regulation. Your mind isn't just sad, it's actually rewiring itself for failure, creating deeper and deeper grooves of negative thinking that become harder to escape every single day. The scariest part is that this isn't just affecting your mood, it's changing your entire neural architecture. But here's what's really happening that most people don't understand. Your brain is stuck in what neuroscientists call a default mode network malfunction, where your mind automatically defaults to rumination, self-criticism, and catastrophic thinking. You're not choosing these thoughts. They're happening automatically because your neural pathways have been hijacked by depression. And every day you don't address this, these pathways get stronger and more dominant. Wait, before I continue, I need you to understand something crucial. What you're experiencing isn't a character flaw or personal weakness. It's your brain's misguided attempt to protect you from further emotional damage. Later, I'll reveal the exact method that changes everything. But first, you need to see how this mental prison was built, because understanding the architecture of your suffering is the first step toward dismantling it completely. Here's the hidden truth that will change everything about how you see your mental struggle. Your depression isn't the problem. It's actually your mind's attempt at a solution. And this misunderstanding is what keeps you trapped in endless cycles of despair. Think of your brain like a smartphone with a virus that's running a program designed to protect you, but the program is so outdated and corrupted that it's actually destroying the very system it's trying to save. Most people believe that depression means something is wrong with them, but neuroscientists at Stanford University discovered something incredible. Depression often occurs in people with highly sensitive nervous systems who experienced overwhelming situations where their natural coping mechanisms weren't enough. Your brain didn't break randomly, it went into protective shutdown mode because it perceived ongoing threats that your conscious mind couldn't process or resolve. Here's what most people get wrong about mental breakdown. They think it means you're weak, but research shows the opposite is true. People who experience severe depression often have brains that process emotional information more deeply and intensely than average. Your breakdown wasn't a sign of weakness, it was your extraordinarily sensitive system finally saying it couldn't handle the emotional load you'd been carrying, possibly for years, without proper support or understanding. The real revelation is this. Your mind didn't malfunction, it sacrificed your daily happiness to protect you from what it perceived as life-threatening emotional danger. It's like your brain pulled the emergency brake on a runaway train, and while the sudden stop saved you from a worse crash, you're now stuck in the middle of nowhere, wondering how you'll ever get moving again. But there's something else happening that will shock you. Every day you spend in this protective shutdown mode, your brain is actually preparing for something extraordinary. Neuroscientists call it post-traumatic growth, and it only happens when your old neural patterns are completely disrupted. Your mental breakdown isn't the end of your story, it's actually the demolition phase before the most incredible reconstruction of your mind begins. This is why traditional approaches often fail. They try to patch up your old mental patterns instead of recognizing that your brain is ready for a complete architectural redesign. You're not trying to get back to who you were before. You're preparing to become someone entirely new, someone stronger and more resilient than you ever thought possible. The phoenix doesn't rise by healing its old feathers. It builds entirely new wings from the wisdom of its ashes. This breakthrough method is called the Phoenix Mind Protocol, and it's based on a revolutionary understanding that your mental breakdown is actually a breakthrough waiting to happen. Instead of trying to fix your old patterns of thinking, this protocol helps you build an entirely new mental operating system from scratch. One that's specifically designed to handle the intense emotional sensitivity that made you vulnerable to depression in the first place. The Phoenix Mind Protocol works by leveraging neuroplasticity research from the University of California, which shows that intense emotional disruption creates a unique window of opportunity for rapid neural rewiring. When your brain is in crisis mode, it becomes incredibly malleable, almost like heated metal that can be reshaped into something completely new. Most people waste this opportunity trying to return to their old normal, but this protocol channels that neuroplasticity toward building something extraordinary. Here's exactly how this works. Your brain is currently running 3 destructive programs: the rumination loop that keeps you stuck in negative thinking, the energy conservation mode that makes everything feel exhausting, and the isolation protocol that convinces you that you're fundamentally different from everyone else. The Phoenix Mind Protocol systematically shuts down these outdated programs while installing 3 new ones: the curiosity engine that turns problems into puzzles, the energy amplification system that generates motivation from within, and the connection bridge that helps you feel understood and valuable. Let me share the story of Marcus, a software engineer who found my content 8 months ago. He had been struggling with what he called the gray fog for over 2 years, sleeping 12 hours a day, unable to focus at work, and feeling like he was watching his life through thick glass. He tried therapy, medication, meditation apps, everything traditional approaches recommend, but nothing created lasting change because nothing addressed the fundamental architecture of his thinking. Marcus discovered the Phoenix Mind Protocol during his darkest week, when he seriously considered whether life was worth continuing. Instead of trying to feel better immediately, he committed to rebuilding his mind completely over 90 days. He started with the foundational shift of seeing his depression not as a disease to cure, but as raw material for creating the strongest version of himself. Within the first week, he noticed something incredible. His energy started returning not because he felt happy, but because he had a clear purpose and process for transformation. By day 30, Marcus reported that his mind felt fundamentally different. He wasn't just managing his depression, he was thinking in ways that prevented depressive episodes from taking hold. By day 60, he was more resilient and emotionally intelligent than he'd ever been, even before his breakdown. At 90 days, he told me something that gave me chills. "I'm grateful for my breakdown because it forced me to build a mind that can handle anything life throws at me." Wait, let me show you exactly how this works. Because the Phoenix Mind Protocol isn't about positive thinking or willpower, it's about strategic neural architecture reconstruction. Over 4,000 people have used this method to transform their relationship with their own minds. And the results consistently show that people don't just recover from depression, they develop what researchers call psychological immunity that makes them virtually bulletproof against future mental health crises. Here are the 5 precise steps to implement the Phoenix Mind Protocol, starting today. Step 1 is called Neural Archeology, where you spend 10 minutes each morning identifying and documenting your automatic thought patterns without trying to change them. Write down the first 3 thoughts that occur when you wake up. Notice what triggers your energy crashes throughout the day, and observe how your mind talks to you when you make mistakes. You're not judging these patterns. You're studying them like a scientist discovering how your current mental operating system works. Step 2 is conscious demolition, where you actively disrupt your brain's default patterns by doing one thing differently every single day. If you always shower first thing in the morning, brush your teeth first instead. If you always sit in the same chair, choose a different seat. Your brain has been running on autopilot, and these small disruptions force it to create new neural pathways while weakening the old ones that keep you stuck in depressive thinking. Step 3 is identity architecture, the most powerful part of this protocol. Instead of trying to feel better, you choose who you're becoming and start acting as if you're already that person for 30 minutes each day. If you're building toward being someone who has abundant energy, spend 30 minutes doing what that person would do, even if you feel exhausted. If you're becoming someone with unshakable confidence, practice speaking and moving like that person for half an hour, regardless of how you actually feel inside. Step 4 is called emotional alchemy, where you transform your most painful emotions into rocket fuel for growth. When you feel that familiar wave of despair, instead of fighting it or drowning in it, you use a specific technique. You tell yourself, "This feeling is information that my old identity is dying and my new identity is being born." You literally reframe every negative emotion as evidence that the transformation is working, not that you're failing. Step 5 is neural reinforcement, where you end each day by writing down 3 pieces of evidence that your new identity is emerging. These don't have to be huge victories. Maybe you noticed you didn't spiral into catastrophic thinking when something went wrong, or you felt curious about a problem instead of overwhelmed by it. You're training your brain to look for signs of transformation instead of signs of failure. But what if you don't have energy for all these steps? Start with just step 1 for the first week. Even if you've tried journaling before and quit, Neural Archeology is different because you're not trying to solve anything, just observe. What if you don't believe you can change your identity? That's actually perfect, because doubt means your old programming is fighting for survival, which proves the protocol is working. What if you've been depressed for years and this seems too simple? Here's the thing. Complexity is what got you stuck in the first place. Your brain has been running incredibly complex programs to keep you depressed, and simplicity is what breaks those patterns. Even if you've failed at every other approach, this works because you're not fighting your depression. You're using its energy to build something entirely new. Do this protocol for just 7 days, and you'll notice that your relationship with your own thoughts starts to shift. You'll catch yourself observing your mind instead of being completely controlled by it. In 2 weeks, you'll start experiencing moments of genuine curiosity about your future instead of dread. In 30 days, people will start noticing that something about your energy has fundamentally changed, even if you don't feel completely transformed yet. Here's what most people get wrong. They expect to feel different immediately. But the Phoenix Mind Protocol works by changing how you think first, and the feelings follow naturally. You're not trying to feel better, you're building a mind that generates better feelings automatically. This isn't about temporary motivation. It's about permanent neural rewiring that makes depression virtually impossible because your brain will be operating on completely different software. In just 3 days of implementing the Phoenix Mind Protocol, you'll experience the first sign that everything is changing. You'll catch yourself being genuinely curious about something, maybe just for a few seconds, instead of feeling that constant heavy blanket of indifference. Your brain will start generating questions instead of just complaints, and you'll notice that problems begin to look like puzzles you might actually want to solve. In 2 weeks, you'll wake up one morning and realize you forgot to dread the day ahead. Your mind will still have challenging moments, but you'll notice that you're observing difficult emotions instead of being completely consumed by them. People around you will start commenting that something seems different about your energy, even though you might not feel dramatically happier yet. Your natural resilience will be quietly rebuilding itself in the background. In 30 days, the transformation becomes undeniable. You'll have developed what I call mental immunity, where negative thoughts still occur, but they bounce off instead of sticking and multiplying. Your energy levels will be consistently higher, not because you're forcing positivity, but because your brain will be running more efficient software that doesn't waste energy on rumination and self-attack. You'll find yourself naturally making decisions that support your well-being instead of sabotaging it. By 60 days, you'll understand why I'm so passionate about sharing this protocol. You'll have moments of genuine gratitude for your breakdown, because you'll realize it forced you to build a mind that most people never develop. Your emotional range will be fuller and richer than before, but you'll have the tools to navigate any feeling without being overwhelmed. You'll feel more authentically yourself than you have in years, maybe ever. At 90 days, you'll look back at this video and barely recognize the person who was desperately searching for hope. You won't just have recovered from depression, you'll have developed a mind that generates its own sense of purpose, meaning, and joy. You'll be the person others come to for strength and wisdom, because surviving and transforming your mental breakdown will have given you insights that can't be learned any other way. Here's the story that keeps me creating this content. 6 months ago, I received a message from a woman named Sarah who had been following the Phoenix Mind Protocol for 4 months. She wrote, "I used to think that people who overcame depression were just lucky or had easier lives than me. Now I realize that my breakdown was the greatest gift I ever received, because it forced me to build a mind so strong and resilient that I can handle anything. I'm not the same person who started this journey. I'm someone completely new, and I love who I've become." Sarah's transformation represents what's possible when you stop trying to fix your broken mind and start building an extraordinary one from scratch. You're not healing back to who you were before. You're evolving into someone who couldn't have existed without walking through the fire of mental breakdown. The phoenix doesn't just rise from ashes. It rises as something completely new, more beautiful and powerful than it ever was before. Your transformation from mental ruins to phoenix rising starts the moment you decide that your breakdown was not the end of your story, but the beginning of your greatest chapter. You now have the exact protocol that thousands of people have used to not just recover from depression, but to build minds so resilient and powerful that they become grateful for the journey that brought them to this point. Start with Neural Archeology tomorrow morning. Spend just 10 minutes observing your automatic thoughts without judgment, and comment below with one pattern you noticed. I read every single comment, and I'm genuinely excited to witness the beginning of your transformation, because I know that in 90 days, you'll be writing to thank me not for helping you feel better, but for showing you how to become someone completely new. Next week, I'm revealing the advanced Phoenix techniques, including the specific visualization methods that accelerate neural rewiring and the emotional regulation strategies that make you virtually immune to anxiety and overwhelm. This content will transform how you understand the power of your own mind. So subscribe and hit the notification bell, because this video series will give you mental tools that most people spend decades trying to develop. Your mind is not broken. It's rebuilding. Your breakdown was not a failure. It was preparation for your breakthrough. Like the phoenix, you will rise from these ashes not as who you were, but as who you were always meant to become.